Who was it that asked about officiating before the game? Was that you, Kendra? And we talked about how dangerous it can be. You're hearing it from the other series. You're hearing other coaches. You're hearing Becky talk about when you let the physicality happen, people get hurt. There's fights. And this is the look that our league wants for some reason. We were trying to play through it. We tried not to make excuses. One of the best players in the league shot 0 free throws. 0. And she had 5 fouls. 0 free throws. Got her shoulder pulled out and finished the game with her leg being taken out and probably has a fracture. And so if this is what our league wants, okay. But I want to call for a change of leadership at the league level when it comes to officiating. It's bad for the game. The officiating crew that we had tonight, for the leadership to deem those 3 people semifinals playoff worthy is fucking malpractice.
Whoo!
Sis does not mince words at all.
What up? What it is? What's popping? Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode of Keeping It 9450, Codename WBB. We started off hot, fresh, spicy, with a dash of Louisiana hot sauce, Tabasco, Texas Pete, Frank's Red Hot. I am your host, Kevin K. Lewis, along with my illustrious co-host, Lo Livia Pope. Lo, what's going on with you tonight?
Nothing much. I'm black and I'm blessed. I'm happy to be back talking hoops. A lot has happened in the last 72 hours or so. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
We do have a lot to talk about tonight. We have playoff chaos in full swing. So of course, as you've seen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break down, Cheryl Reeves' suspension and her reaction to Fee's injury in game 3. The Mercury booking their finals ticket in the Fever, forcing game 5 against the Aces, and something that was brought up on Sunday night in regards to narratives, but we will introduce that later on in the show. So I'm still, hold on, my bad. I'm still trying to cool off from what we just witnessed a couple nights ago in regards to what Cheryl Reeve has openly talked about for a while now, honestly.
Yeah.
So I do want to give context into a press conference that occurred on Friday night. So we're going to start there. So Cheryl Reeve was suspended after game 3 after she went off on officiating in the game, got tossed after receiving her second technical foul of the game. And the league responded by giving her a 1-game suspension, and that was in game 4 in a deciding game 4. And it wasn't just, her getting tossed. It was also it also came at an additional cost with Nafisa Collier being out with the ankle injury for game 4. So, I want to start there, and I want to just get our thoughts together on, what type of impact did that obviously make, because it made a huge impact,
Right.
for sure. But from an analysis standpoint, where did you see this going, and was the suspension warranted? But also, do you agree with what Cheryl Reeves was basically saying and calling out the officials in regards to how the game is being played.
Absolutely. I want to also just throw in a caveat that it just came out that her fine is also $15,000. So on top of being being suspended in an elimination game, your best player also being injured, and now you have to pay $15,000 for essentially telling the truth. Like, I'm probably not the best person to ask this question because I didn't mind Cheryl's behavior actually at all. If I'm playing for her, I actually love the fact that my coach is going to go ride for me like that. And I do understand because of it, the WNBA had to show some type of level of discipline so that it's no new standard set. But I get why Cheryl was reacting the way she was. And so a lot of people think that she was reacting that way solely because of the late game steal, which, resulted in Fee getting injured. But the refs have been asked the entire season. Like, I literally pulled up a tweet from last year around this time when the refs cheated many in New York. Like, this is not anything new. So for people saying, "Oh, she was just mad about the steal and she got injured," no. Like, she has been talking about this for years. We all have been talking about how terrible the officiating has been. Now, what I will say is that in this particular game, the officiating was terrible on both sides. It wasn't swayed one way or not, but the product is too good for it to be drowned out by terrible officiating. And like, when multiple players are saying it, when multiple coaches are saying it, and fan bases, like just in general, WNBA fans in general are saying it, like, you got to take a step back and truly look at the actual officiating. Like, these officials, which I just learned, shout out to Meg, these officials are literally making less than collegiate officials. Like, so it makes sense. These are G League officials that can't really make it in the NBA. And this is no disrespect, but it's disgusting to me when players get fined, coaches get fined and held accountable for what they say, and which they deserve it. But when are the officials going to get penalized? When are they going to be held to some type of standard, any type of standard? I'm not even saying they have to like have a fine, but eventually they have to be held to some type of standard. Why does everyone else have to be held to a level of professionalism when the officials are not held to that same level of professionalism? Like that. So that's my biggest issue with it. And again, I think it was just a combination of just all the frustration throughout the season and the poor officiating, the combination of feeling like they lost the finals last year because of the referees, a combination of your best player literally getting hurt right before your eyes before game 4 when you know you were probably gonna have to play a game 4. So I thought the suspension was a bit much. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, she was out of pocket. And I think it's because she did a multitude of things. She went after the ref. She didn't want to leave the court. She told a fan, "Fuck you." And then she went off in the post game. So I think it was because of the combination of things, but I think it's the playoffs. It's a certain level of intensity that happens in the playoffs. And when you are eliminating a Hall of Fame coach like that for a team that already is not playing with their best player, they're just at an unfair disadvantage. Like, it's just, you're just stacking more disadvantages on them. But I also get it. Like, I get why the WNBA did it because they have to set some type of precedent. So, excuse me. I see why they did it. I just don't love it. Now if she put her hands on a ref, that's a different story. She was just in their face. Like, it's the playoffs. Like, you let the women play physical, bro. Officiate better, and she won't do that. What did you think about it?
Yeah, so my perspective on it was I really do think that Cheryl Reeve was warranted in how she felt. I believe that did the punishment fit the crime? I don't think that a suspension was warranted. I think that she was well within her rights to express this egregious level of officiating. We have all been saying how egregious the officiating has been. We do not mind the physicality of games, but there is a lack of control and there is no reciprocity within those controls that sometimes the officials, take precedence in. And I want to let everybody know, just based off of my research, there's nothing you can do about it in the next 3 to 5 years, because they have already renegotiated a referee's CBA back in 2024. And the details of that has not been disclosed and has been sealed. Now, in context, what I mean by sealed means nobody's talking about it, and nobody wants to talk about it, and nobody is going to talk about it. And
Yeah.
I don't know how we as media entities can force the questions in the details of the collective bargaining agreement that the referees have done with the WNBA. So that's the unfortunate thing. So unfortunately, you're going to see this going forward until there's a new CBA deal in place.
Nasty.
So that is the unfortunate thing. When it comes to, like I said earlier, in regards to like how games are officiated, that is a huge deal. And one of the biggest problems that we have with a product that has been good for a very long time, but now is getting the respective benefits of how good that product is. Now you're starting to see a lot of people openly talk about how bad the officiating is. And we've been, as WNBA fans, been talking about this for a very long time. And as you mentioned, compensation doesn't compare to the NCAA's. So of course, the way that things are officiated, it's almost like, you're getting what you're paying for, basically. So
Right.
that's the unfortunate thing. But do I believe that Cheryl Reeve deserved suspension for it? I don't think so, because it's a highly competitive series. It's a really, really good playoff series, might I add. We all know that Phoenix has lived with the precedence of being a very physical defensive team, and also being a very physical offensive team as well. They've done it all year long. And if you haven't watched, that's the reason why you're upset, because you just haven't watched the Phoenix Mercury do what they've done all season long. And that's play fast, tough, and extremely hard. And we talked about this in the regular season in regards to matchup problems. In the Phoenix Mercury pose the biggest matchup problem for both the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty. Um, and that's, part of how we assess, different teams in different avenues of the game. So, you know, as we move in to the next segment, as a result of this physicality, and I will say that the play itself is very debatable on whether it's a foul or not. But in reality, Nafisa Collier got injured on a steal by Alyssa Thomas. And as Alyssa Thomas hit the fast break layup, she turned her left ankle, if I'm not mistaken. This isn't the same ankle that she turned in the regular season back in August. It's the opposite. So it did not look good at all. But as a result of that, she was out for game 4. And obviously, she is the heartbeat of this team, their go-to scorer, their rebounder, their leader, their defensive part of the defensive anchor with Alana Smith. And without her, they had to play shorthanded in game 4. So before we get into game 4, of course, we already know the results of game 4, but how important was that loss for Minnesota. And, even before you talk about how well they've played without her this season, what did you think? What was the, outcome prior to what you saw on last night, and how you thought that the game would have gone?
Well, first of all, I think it's just bad for the WNBA in general. You want all the best players on the floor, period, when it's playoff time. That's money time. Like, you want all of the best players, because people don't realize that a lot of people that might not necessarily watch the WNBA, if they're flipping through the channels and they see a playoff game, they might stop and start watching. So you want to attract more attention and more viewership. Like, you want the best players on the floor at all times. So I think it was just a very unfortunate um, injury. I feel for Fee because last year they were right there, seconds away from winning a championship, and they had a great year this year, even though she battled injury, but was able to stay afloat and stay number one for, majority of the season. So I'm sure she really felt like this was her year. Phoenix had already knocked New York out, the previous champions. So I'm pretty sure they feel like this was their year. So just heartbreaking for her in general. But losing Fee was a major blow to everything that the Lynx do, literally on both sides of the ball. And yes, we all know they're still a good team without her, but the playoffs is where your superstars shine. Like, they desperately needed her last night. Again, this is a player that was averaging 20 plus points and 9 plus boards during the postseason. So without her, the Lynx lost their primary inside, outside scorer, as well as their defensive anchor. And yes, I know Alana Smith won Defensive Player of the Year, but it's no secret that Fee's help defense, weak side defense, and just her overall defensive intellect helps that team tremendously. And without her, now you're forcing everyone else to kind of play out of rotation or do a little bit more than they're actually used to doing. I think Jessica Shepard stepped up and played pretty well, and we'll kind of get back into that later. But I think in the beginning of the game, she really stepped up and kind of held her own as much as possible. But without Fee, you're putting a lot more pressure on your guards to score. You're putting a lot more pressure on your guards to take action and do something, be positive and productive, because you have less post up opportunities. You have less like high post entry level opportunities. And like I said, defensively, that's the best rebounder on your team. So you're automatically missing about 20 plus points on the other side, but then you're missing 9 plus rebounds on the opposite side. And also her paint presence just kind of deterring people from just solely going, to the rack. So I think it's a number of things that you automatically miss with Fee being out. And we'll get into, how well Minnesota played initially, but eventually got walked down. But yeah, I think it was just a blow altogether. Like, what a terrible, unfortunate situation. And we, me and you talked about it in group chats before. Like, winning a championship is very difficult, like very, very difficult. And yes, you need the talent, but you need a little bit of luck on your side too. And the Phoenix Mercury, like, yes, they have been injured most of the season, but they still have been able to chip away at it, stay afloat. And they're just, excuse me, they're just happening to get healthy and all together at the right time. So, like I said, bad luck for Minnesota, but very good luck for, Phoenix. What did you think about the injury in totality?
Yeah, the injury in totality definitely hurt the Minnesota Lynx, and I truly believe that I strongly believed coming into Game 3 that the road team would come out victors. And it was a very, very close game. It was a very, very tight game. It was a very, very intense game, and ultimately, Phoenix protected home court. That was the most important thing. Still one on the road, protect your home court, and that's what they did, incredibly. And just like you mentioned, there is some luck that comes in to coming into the postseason. You have to be healthy, you have to be sound and of good mind and spirit. And Phoenix got hot at the very right time. And as they got hot, they were also healthy at the very right time. And they had all of their players intact at the very right time. So with Dejanay Carrington, the first person being out, that was already a challenge for, the Minnesota Lynx, because she is hands down their best perimeter defender. She does work defensively, and she
Right.
would have been a big difference maker had she participated in these playoffs. So you have to give a lot of credit to Phoenix for being healthy, first off, and secondly, sticking to the game plan in order to capture game 3 and then turn it around in game 4, and not only saying, okay, we have to not live in the moment, but we have to get the job done. And by getting the job done, walking Minnesota down twice in the first half, down 14, in the second half, down as many as 13, walking the Minnesota Lynx down, while the Minnesota Lynx were extremely hot in shooting, might I add, was very, very incredible. It was very intriguing the way that you look into the game. So just going into the analysis of game 4, because obviously this is where we want to kind of finish it. In game 4, Phoenix came out extremely slow, and Minnesota came out extremely hot. Kayla McBride had some crazy scorchers from 3. Courtney Williams was in her mid. I'm talking about the midi game was crazy. I, I don't know. She might, you know what? I know we talk about the mid-range mafia. She's up there in class when it comes to the
Yeah.
mid-range mafia. We don't know who the Don is right now. We don't know who the quote unquote Godfather is right now, but like she has to be up there. Like
I
she has to
think
be
I think currently in the WNBA she's probably
she
one.
she's probably the Dawn, right? She,
Yeah, but like
she has to be.
overall, I'm still going money moan over her overall.
You know what I'm
But I,
saying?
she definitely in a conversation for sure, for sure.
Absolutely. And I mean, extremely, extremely hot to start off. So with Phoenix literally walking them down in the first in the first half, right? They settled in. They
Hmm.
started they really started increasing the pressure defensively, and they started communicating better.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, by communicating better, you get live ball turnovers and you're able to run. And that's exactly what happened. And as they began to run and score in transition, obviously the 3-point shot wasn't falling early, but they started to get their threes into the mix. So when you look at game 4 once again, and I know you had matter of fact, but you had an awesome weekend, and I'm glad that you're here with us. So, and for those that are also kind of inquiring, it was my birthday weekend as well. Happy birthday to me. Shameless plug. But the weekend was just lit.
Yeah, for sure.
And by that, these games were extra lit. Like that was my birthday present, just having straight up lit games this weekend. But going into game 4, what did you see out of both teams that made you feel like, oh my God, this is heart-wrenching? So what was your take on it?
I mean, it was just competitive hoops. It was just elite buckets. Like you could tell that both teams desperately, wanted it. And like you said, Minnesota came out the gate clicking on all cylinders, outscoring the Mercury 25-14 in the first quarter. The Mercury, of course, went on a run and ended it up. I think it was like 38-38 at halftime. And then Minnesota actually came out, and I thought they were going to run away with it because they put 30 points up in the third quarter. But Phoenix just kept chipping away at it. And I just want to take a second to say shout out to Dewana Bonner. Shout out to
DB.
DB because I was on her head in the second quarter. I don't know if she saw my tweet at halftime or what, but I was on her top, okay? I literally tweeted, and this is no disrespect because DeWanna Bonner is one of the best players to play in the WNBA ever.
Absolutely.
Like, when you look at the record books, people are going to remember her forever simply because she's up there for 3-pointers made all time in the playoffs. She's up there for points scored just all time in general in the WNBA. So she's one of them ones, especially starting as a sixth player off the bench. So this is no disrespect to the Queen DeWanna Bonner. I'll never have anything bad to say about her. But it's no secret that she has been underperforming this entire playoff this entire playoff run. And it's not just in this series. It's literally been the entire playoff. So just to put some context and some numbers behind it, she was 2 for 16 from long distance until last night's game, where she went 3 for 4 for long distance. So though that run, her 13 points and I think 6 boards, I didn't write it down. Her 13 points and her 6 boards were imperative for them to flip the switch and kind of, start building momentum on Minnesota. And I think that they desperately needed her. They outscored Minnesota's bench. They were just clicking on all cylinders. And I think it started with the defensive end. I think once they were able to communicate a little bit better, like you said, switched a little bit better, I think that's when we saw Minnesota turn the ball over a little bit more. And it wasn't really they turned the ball over a lot because if I remember correctly, they only had 6 turnovers. But it was the time frame in which they turned it over. And also Phoenix just really made shots difficult. They made Minnesota take very, very difficult shots. And I think that's really what helped them get back in the game. Like I said, big buckets from DB, big night from AT, as well as Satu. Ka had a rough shooting night, but she also was able to hit a few tough buckets when needed. But aside from that, like, I just have to take my hat off to Phoenix in general. Outside of a handful of fans, the players, and a few people in the front office, no one, and I mean no one, had this team making the finals this season. And to do it in this fashion, the way that they've done it, they knocked off the defending champions in round 1. They defeated the number 1 ranked team that was number 1 ranked majority of the season in last night's game. And I think when you really think about it, this is a brand new team. This team only returned 2 players from last year's roster, and that's Ka and Mac. So when you think about that, when you think about how the big 3 alone have missed, pretty significant times when the season is only 44 games, Ka being out in the beginning of the season because of surgery or surgical procedure, AT being sidelined for a couple games, Satu missing some games as well. Despite that, this team was able to stay afloat and compete with players available, which happened to be multiple undrafted rookies. Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, a lot of these players on that roster, a lot of people didn't know before this year. So to me, it's just really impressive. I had them, like, I think 6 overall in my preseason ranking, 6th or 7th. So for them to, like, go on this run that they've been on and just click at the right time and be healthy at the right time, like, I just had to take my hat off to them because no one knew how those 3 would work together with Ka, AT, and Satu. Like, no one truly knew, and they had rifts in the season where they look completely inconsistent and out of sorts out there. And so for them to be able to pull it together, I also got to shout out to Nate Tibbetts, and we got to start having different conversations about AT. And I say that because when you look at over AT's career with Connecticut and then with Phoenix, teams that she is typically on either make the semifinals or the finals. So we need to start having different conversations about AT. And I understand she has not won yet. It's a possibility that she can win this year because they're just rolling right now. But, like, AT really has done her biggest. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. AT has done her big one for sure. And AT is exactly so. One thing about AT that a lot of people don't understand is she is the ultimate connector to everything on the basketball court. I, in my professional opinion, think that without AT being that connector, there are a lot of things from an offensive and from a defensive standpoint that goes wrong with a particular team that she is on. When she's on the floor, the positives are extremely loud. When she's off the floor, the negatives are extremely loud. And to credit Alyssa Thomas, she has done so much in her career with the Connecticut Sun and now the Phoenix Mercury.
Right.
It definitely gives you that that notion from a conversation standpoint, in questioning where does she fit among, some of the top players that we've seen in this league for the past 28 years, 28 to 29 years. So when we talk about Alyssa Thomas, we have to talk about her in a different, mindset, not just because she's a quote unquote tough player, or not because she's a quote unquote egregious player. I'm not going to say that D word, because that's how a lot of people feel about Alyssa Thomas in the way that she plays the game. But we have to also compliment what she has done in her career. This is her seventh semifinals, and she's been in the finals, if I'm not mistaken, 3 times, in her career. So Alyssa Thomas has definitely, you know, changed the trajectory of the franchise that she was with before, and she has for sure changed the trajectory of a Phoenix Mercury franchise that just, you know, celebrated Diana Taurasi's career, and Brittany Griner, who was there most of her career, and then leaving to go to Atlanta. So it definitely, bodes well for the Phoenix Mercury and for Alyssa Thomas to have, the accolades that she have. Even though she is in competition with so many great players. I mean, it sucks that she's in kind of like the era that she's in now, because we are witnessing, one of the, if not the greatest players that we've seen in the WNBA. So, I do want to tip my hat off to the Phoenix Mercury, because, like you said, nobody and absolutely nobody thought finals. There were a lot of people that thought playoffs. There were very little people that thought semifinals. There was absolutely no one who thought finals, except for Phoenix Mercury fans. And you have
Right.
to give credit where credit is due to the Phoenix Mercury fans, because they stuck with their team.
Mm-hmm.
Criticism and all, they stuck with their team, and you have to congratulate the Phoenix Mercury for making the WNBA finals. And their opponent, we shall see, because the Indiana Fever forced a deciding game 5 against the Las Vegas Aces on Sunday. And that was a very interesting game as well. So I want to start off with Asia Wilson, because she had one of her great bounce back games. I believe 31 points, 9 rebounds. But it didn't come easy. Um, there was a lot of, to me, from the game's standpoint, the guard play was just not there compared to game 3. So, Lo, what is the biggest issue? Starting off with the Aces, what is the biggest issue that you saw from the guards in this game, and why they couldn't be aggressive enough to take care of business in Indianapolis?
I mean, like you said, another great game by Asia Wilson, another bounce back game, but it's almost getting to the point. It's almost getting to the point. Like, what more does she have to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want her to be the best
Absolutely.
player on offense and defense. Like, someone else has to step up, and I'm not gonna overlook Jackie, because she had I think 18 points and 5 boards, but the guards lost this game for them. The guards and Becky Hammond. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Um, I'll start with the guards. We've been talking about this ad nauseum for the last 2 years. I'm not sure what's going on with Jewel Lloyd. 32 minutes and 6 total points. I'm not sure why she even got 32 minutes of action when she wasn't really contributing much out there. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say this, but like, I just don't see the vision. Like, she's too inconsistent. Like, and I get it. It's one of the best. I wouldn't even say one of the best anymore because these last 2 years have been rough. But at one point in time, she was one of the best bucket getters, in the WNBA. And I'm sure that maybe next game she'll go off. But it doesn't matter when we can't count on you. When you're not consistent and we can't count on you, it doesn't matter if every 3 or 4 games you finally go off. We need consistency. And I'm not saying she has to score 30 points a game or hell, even 20 points a game, but 32 minutes and you score 6 total points off the bench, we could have kept you over there. As for Becky Hammon, why are you playing her 32 minutes and then you go play Dana Evans, who's actually giving you positive minutes this entire series, specifically in this series? You gave her 12 minutes. Why? First of all, I know you probably don't want to change the lineup, but why is KB still playing? I'm not even trying to be funny. Because you only play her 6 minutes. You played her 6 minutes and then she never saw the court again. Like it's just a waste. Like it's literally just a waste of like minutes. Those 6 minutes could have went to Dana. It could have went to someone else. And it's just very confusing specifically for Dana. And I'm sure she was very confused because she's produced every time she's gotten the opportunity to do so. In the first 3 games against the Fever, she has scored in double digits. I think she scored 14 points the first game, 10 points the second game, and 10 points the third game. And then you put her in for 12 minutes when she was averaging 21 points in the first 21 minutes in the first 3 games. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Chelsea, and y'all know that's my favorite point guard of all time, baby. Chelsea and these damn turnovers. Like, the guards can't get it right. They're not good offensively. They're not good defensively. They can't keep anyone in front of them. Kelsey Mitchell was torching. Hell, Shea Petty was torching them. Like, so I Odyssey Sims, 18 points. So they're literally like, I can't say to be honest, I literally cannot say the guards did anything well yesterday. They didn't do well offensively or defensively. It was a shit show. Then you had Liz, who was barely in the game because she was in foul trouble most of the game. We're not going to even discuss the officiating because that was a whole nother. Oh, that was so bad. That was a whole nother thing. But we'll get into Indiana. But as far as the Aces, I won't say they should be worried because they got 22 on their team. But if the guards don't step up, the Fever will be advancing to the finals. I'll just keep it a buck because Asia's going to do Asia things on Tuesday or on tomorrow. We don't have to worry about what Asia's going to do. But I'm very concerned on what the other players are going to do, the other guards are going to do. I think Jackie will show up. Jackie has been very consistent throughout the year. I would like to see her more aggressive in the first half. I think she was a little bit more aggressive in the second half. I think she shot 60% from the field, so she had a good shooting night. But Jackie, we need you to be more aggressive. Like, that's what they need to be telling her. We need you to be more aggressive. I don't know. Chelsea has to have a good game. She has to set the tone early, and Jewel has to make shots. It's very simple. And Becky has to be stop being stubborn and make in-game adjustments. Like, it has to be better than what they did yesterday. Like, it was just nasty hoops. Like, it was just like Asia's out here hooping and everybody else is just kind of like watching, for lack of better words. What did you think about the guards, though?
Yeah, I think that the guards were extremely inconsistent, and we know how well the guards for Las Vegas can play, and it's been shown throughout the playoffs how inconsistent they are in the losses. But it speaks volumes when they're winning the games that they win in these series because they are locked in and they're in tune with what needs to be done. They move the ball well when they're playing well. They shoot well when they're playing well. But when they're not playing well, like, it's straight, I mean, the stinkiest trash that you could ever smell.
Right.
Bad. And we're talking about a guard in Jewel Lloyd who's 2 years removed from being a scoring champion in this league. 2 seasons ago, she was a scoring champion. Yeah, Seattle wasn't the best, team. They were a bottom feeder, but she darn near averaged 25 points per game, almost 26 points per game or something of that nature. We're 2 years removed from that. So You mean to tell me there was a large drop? I'm I'm one to believe that it has to be something other than whatever she's going through. It has to be something more than that. So for me, the guard play has to pick up a lot. Dana Evans definitely needs to play more. She is a catalyst for this team because of how well she disrupts on defense and how well she also disrupts on offense by getting in the paint. She's very underrated in her paint touches. She does a very good job getting in the paint. It causes the defense to collapse and it
Mm-hmm.
causes for open shots. So it needs to be cleaned up a bit. Um, One of the blunders I saw was Becky Hammond calling a timeout when she didn't have
Yes.
one, and that just kind of gave you the overall summary of how bad things went in Game 4.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there will be some adjustments that'll be made, but I want to give credit to the Indiana Fever because
Yeah.
Aaliyah Boston was extremely aggressive. Odyssey Sims was extremely aggressive. Shea Petty was extremely aggressive. And Kelsey Mitchell came out hot. I think she scored like 15 or something like that. In that first half or first
Yeah.
period or something of that
She
nature. I
was
mean, the
cooking.
way that she was snaking those screens, and might I add, that needs to be a signature move of hers on 2K. Seriously, because the way that she snakes the screen and kind of hesitates and like get into her spots, like it's incredible to see. And it's also very difficult because she's a lefty doing that. But she make incredible shots,
and
and she
finishing
take
over and finishing over bigger players like
exactly.
consistently.
Exactly. So, and that's one of the things that her pops worked with her
Mm-hmm.
on. She,
Yeah.
it was always a case where she was, being defended by someone taller and longer than her. So she could make the adjustment in
Yeah.
getting to the rim as quick as she could and scoring and adjusting in the air as quick and as good as she can. So she did an incredible job. And I want to, give credit to Lexi Hall making, very timely shots. I want to also give credit to Brianna Turner. And,
Great minutes.
I mean, they have done the job to provide a game 5. So it's been remarkable to see. But going on to the Indiana side, before we move forward on our last segment, what did you think about Indiana? To add on to what I've already said regarding how great they were.
Yeah, I mean, two words, Leah Boston. I think she was the difference maker in this game, in my opinion. From tip off, she aggressively looked for her shot. Not something we've seen her consistently do throughout these playoffs. She'll get involved in other ways, rebounding the ball, passing the ball, but she ended the game with 24 points, 14 boards, and 5 assists. And I mean, overall, the Fever won the points in the paint, fast break points, getting out in transition, and were able to capitalize off the Aces turnovers. They um, led the points off of turnovers 25-16. Also wanted to just highlight, kind of like you said, Odyssey Sims had great minutes, 18 points on the night. And as I kind of echoed before, like the guards had no answer for Kelsey or Odyssey. Like they have no answer for speedy guards that can get downhill and go to the bucket. And that's something that they'll have to address in the offseason. They need someone more like a Dana Evans that can stay in front of guards, because Chelsea's lateral movement isn't as great as it used to be. Um, no clue what Jules doing out there on either end of the floor. So they need somebody that can stay in front of actual guards. And that's no slight to Chelsea Gray's defense, because I think she's been exceptional this whole playoffs, especially guarding bigger players like the fours and threes and stuff like that. But when it's 1-on-1 versus a guard, like they're just going right past her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're making it difficult for her out there. And so just shout out to the Fever. I don't love their fan base, but I can't lie. They are hooping. Like they are absolutely hooping. And when I say hooping, I mean like they're just exhibiting resilience. Um, we all know how injured they have been this entire year. So for them to be one game outside of making the finals without their franchise player, that's just nuts to me. It's just absolutely nuts. And I think that we have to also tip our hat off to Stephanie White and coaching circles around Becky Hammon last night.
Absolutely. And just from a last thing, from a coaching standpoint, I mean, it has been the ultimate chess match in this matchup. You know, going back and forth and understanding what the matchups look like, understanding how to exploit said matchups. It's been incredible to watch. But before we get out of here, I do want to address something going back to Phoenix. It was mentioned um, in regards to how can I say this? Someone said that Phoenix is a super team, and I just couldn't believe what the fuck I read last night. Um, and I want to give I want to give this something because this is how narratives are created. Um, we talked about this earlier in how everybody from a national media standpoint in each series said the opposite team would win in either 2, 3, or either 4 or 5.
Yes.
No
Everyone.
one had the Phoenix Mercury in the finals unless you were a Phoenix Mercury fan
Correct.
or you are a diehard Phoenix, Arizona native and a Phoenix Mercury disciple. No one besides them, no one. I mean, no one. I repeat, no one
Correct.
has been going into the finals. So when I read this, I was flabbergasted. And from a content and context standpoint, I don't want to hear anything about semantics. I don't want to hear anything about in the technical term. The Phoenix Mercury are indeed not a super team.
At all.
Cut it out. Cut it out. So when that was mentioned, I had to shut that down like extremely fast. Extremely fast. I don't care if you have all-stars on this team or someone who had been an all-star in
Correct.
their career. Let's look at the current. Let's look at the present because again, you can't open up by saying, "Oh, well, AT is an all-star. Kalia Copper was an all-star at some point. Satu Sabali was an all-star at some. I mean, I think Satu Sabali has one
One
or
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 two,
two.
yeah. One or two, yeah.
Dewan obviously Dewana Bonner has been an all-star, but she wasn't an all-star this year.
Nope.
So like, so what if there are names on the roster? That doesn't make them a super team. Honestly, the only super team that was in the league this year lost to this same team in the first round.
Correct.
So, like I don't want that narrative to be driven all because they won. Because had they lost, that narrative wouldn't have been at all. I mean, at all. Nobody would have thought about that.
Yeah.
No one. So I just I wanted to say that because I was like, nah, nah, that's that's almost blasphemy, in my opinion. And these are harsh words, but it's warranted. And I'm trying to be extremely respectful, when I talk about this. So, do I even want to hear your thoughts, Lo?
I mean, you said everything I was gonna say. To be honest, I think it was a shitty take. I have a less more couth than you, so I think it was a shitty take. I think that we have to be very careful about how we label and talk about different teams because a lot of people weren't even calling New York a super team. So how dare you? How dare you call Phoenix a super team? right? No, people didn't even have this team making the playoffs this year. Some did, like we did,
We
but the
did.
finals. And
Right.
then it's not just that they made the finals, it's how they had to get to the finals. They had to beat the defending champions. They had to beat the
Right.
number 1 overall team. Like, these are
Right.
not small feats. So now all of a sudden they're a super team. Like, I think it's just very disingenuous. And then the supporting evidence for them being a super team is, oh, they have all-stars. All of these damn teams in the WNBA have multiple all-stars on it. So that means the Mystics are a super team, because guess what? Sonya was an all-star this year. Kiki was an all-star this year. But Slim has been an all-star. So, like, were they a super team? Like, the logic just does not make sense. I mean, we can go down the roster. LA. KP has been an all-star. De'Erica hasn't been an all-star. Were they a super team? They didn't even make the playoffs. So you cannot have that logic. Now, if you come with better logic and it actually makes sense, then maybe we can have a conversation about it. But you can't just go and coin super teams because New York lost and Minnesota lost. Just say what's happening. The Phoenix Mercury are playing good basketball right now. They're
At the
taking
right
advantage
time.
at the right time. They're healthy at the right time. They're taking advantage of their matchups. They're executing when they need to. And this is all after starting slow. Like, they've come back in most of their games to win. And so why not just give a predominantly black-led team the credit that they deserve? They're not a
Yeah.
super team. So let's stop that now. Let's dead it.
And also I want to add that super team label when Coach Nate Tibbetts played arguably some of the most inexperienced players as rookies
Yes.
in Monica Cole-McConney
Who should have
and
made the
Kat Westbeld,
rookie team?
who also should have made the rookie team.
Lexi Hill
Like
was playing before her
Lexi Hell was playing very well
Yep.
before her injury, and I'm glad that she's getting better. But come on, y'all.
Yeah, I just thought it was weak because nobody was even like, super team is what New York sought to do. Like, that is the definition. You win a championship, you go out and you literally try to find players to make it better so that you can repeat. They went out and they got one of the best defensive players from the perimeter in Natasha Cloud.
Yes.
They then went out and got a former finals MVP, beating Elena Deladon, one of the best shooters in the WNBA history, out of winning finals MVP.
In
Also,
a league MVP year. 2019 was a league MVP
when
year
she won MVP,
for Elena
correct.
Deladon.
Yes.
In a 50-40-90 year.
Correct.
So continue.
And so also someone that has championship with Chicago. So went out and got Emma, brought back Maureen Johannes. Like, they had a stacked team. Like, that is a super team right there. The Phoenix Mercury are not a super team. Before 2 months ago, no one could name 3 players on that roster outside of Satu, AT, and Satu, AT, and who am I missing? Ka. Like,
yeah.
they could not name anyone outside of them. So it's really just disingenuous. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's just like, it just rubbed me the wrong way when I read that. I'm like, are we really doing this? I would expect New York and many fans maybe to start this rumor, but not somebody that has a major platform like that.
Yeah. And with that being said, we'll leave it at that. I just had to just address that because respectfully, to me, that's disrespectful. Like, we don't want to have those type of narratives just out there just because there was some positive that came out of that organization. And they're getting ready for a WNBA finals on Friday. They're going to rest up. They're going to do, they're going to do what they're going to do as far as kind of like recovery and all of that good stuff. And they're going to celebrate, for at least 18 hours because AT is ready to go on Friday. So, congratulations.
That's a good point. Meg said, I mean, outside of, I don't know, would y'all consider AT a superstar?
You know what? That's a greater point. That's a greater
doesn't
point.
even have a superstar, to be honest.
That's a greater point. A lot of people a lot of people don't want to call AT a superstar. So is it Uchiwali or is it One Mic?
Right. You can't have it
So
both
like
ways.
you can't have it both ways. So once again,
I'm gonna put you on the
um,
spot before we leave though.
let's talk about it.
Who winning game 5 tomorrow?
The Aces are winning game 5 tomorrow. And y'all bet not let me down either.
Minnesota already let me down, man, because I already had booked
They
my
did.
tickets to see Minnesota and Aces. I had to freaking cancel my damn tickets because now if the Aces win, they'll have home court advantage. So I got to change the tickets, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So my thing is the same thing that we talked about from a guard standpoint. I believe that they will make that's the good thing about the Las Vegas Aces. When they play bad, they pick up in the
They
next
bounce
game.
back.
They
Yeah,
they
that is
bounce
true.
back
They
very
do.
well. They bounce back very well. And to answer your question, right quick, Lise,
She said, "Kyle, not a superstar?" Question mark. I'm not there yet.
ah, we can't. I don't want to put that label on her because of what she's been through the past couple of years. Um, super, no,
All
all
star.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a different dynamic, especially once again what she's been through. She's quietly and haven't made any excuses about it. She's quietly, had to recover from a few injuries from
Yeah.
carrying the Chicago Sky before coming over to Phoenix. Um, and we talked about this in 2021. She was emerging, right? She was emerging as that superstar because she
Yeah.
won that Finals MVP. The following year, they do a very very good job in 2022, but they fell short.
Yeah.
And that was a lot to do with kind of like, and I'm being respectful when I say this, because she had those nagging injuries, there was some inconsistencies there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of the reason why it didn't translate into 2023, because Candace ends up going to Las Vegas, and she
Yeah.
now now you have her and Courtney Williams trying to carry a team limping into the 8th seed against the back-to-back champion Las Vegas Aces. So for Kai, she can definitely be one for
Yeah.
sure, but at this point, we have to see a little bit more consistency from that standpoint. But I want to thank everyone. Over 400 people tuning in. We really appreciate it, and I want to leave with this note. Um, let's just continue to have fun. Let's continue to have respective dialogue. Even though that's the most difficult thing in the world right now, because we are living in times where people have platforms to be incredibly stupid, and sometimes now I lost my train of thought. But a wise man told me don't argue with fools, because people from a distance can't tell who is who. So my advice to you guys who are incredibly intelligent, who speak with logic and who speak with sense, don't argue with fools. If you see a fool on your timeline, block them, mute them, do whatever you need to do to keep your sanity, because it's not going to get through to them if you try to explain logic. So I want to appreciate everybody. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Felicia. Shout out to my man Craig that was in the chat. Shout out to Tay. Shout out to my man Wally. Make sure y'all check out the best damn W on tomorrow. If you guys are going tomorrow, I know that there's a game 5, so I'm not sure if you guys are going tomorrow or not.
We're
Um,
doing playback. So if y'all
hit
for
up
all those that's
playback for
listening, we'll
sure.
be on playback for the best damn W. Tap in with us.
So hit up playback for sure. Shout out to Danny D. Shout out to the crew on the other
Jazz.
side. She just so Lo just got cut off, but we getting ready to end it here. But shout out to everybody, that show love to us, man. We really, really appreciate you guys. So shout out to Jazzy. She was just getting ready to talk about Jazzy. And shout out to Jay, Nick, everybody, that show love to me on my birthday. I appreciate you guys, for sure. So, without further ado, this has been Keeping It 9450, codename WBB. I am once again your host, Kevin K. Lewis. And to the left of me, now she has disappeared, my girl, Olivia Pope. This has been excellent. This has been fun. Love is love. Peace, y'all.